tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to day to the last syllable of recorded time, and all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. Out, out, brief candle, life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing.
His name is Guy Pigden. Welcome to the Guy and Harley podcast. My name's Harley Neville.
And do you know who that was?
Shakespeare.
It was a famous rapper from the 1500s called Willie Shakes.
Yeah.
Willie Shakes.
I knew. I'm down with what the kids are listening to.
We may have actually already done that on the podcast, to be perfectly honest, which is also ironic considering the sort of topic or tone of those lyrics.
Yeah. Well, what's the topic and tone of those?
Well, the sort of repetition and meaninglessness of our existence, signifying nothing, full of sound and fury told by an idiot. Much like this podcast.
Yeah.
Full of
Two
sound
idiots.
and fury told by two idiots.
Yeah.
So yes, anyway, that well, also is William, look, forget Marvel movies, guys. Is William Shakespeare the master of the modern blockbuster? Forget Spielberg, forget Lucas. You want to talk about a guy that's had longevity in this business.
Yeah.
Right? You want to talk about a guy that's created some stories that have resonated.
Yeah. Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet. Starring Ryan Philippe.
Yep.
It's all still going.
They just keep doing them, right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Obviously, we study Shakespeare at school and all that sort of thing, but they keep performing Shakespeare. It doesn't seem like it's going to let up. And this has been happening from the 1500s, right? That's crazy. If you like, things don't last very long. People don't care about things for any length of time. The only more successful entertainer is probably Jesus, if you count the Bible.
Yep. Well, it has entertained millions.
For many, many years. People
Yep.
keep returning to it.
Yep.
You know, like a favorite thing to dip back into.
An extremely popular work of fiction. That book deal to get it into the bedside tables of all the motels, that book deal, that must have made Jesus a lot of money.
So, yeah, if you think about it, it's like William Shakespeare and Jesus.
Yeah.
Those two people, the most successful, the fathers of the modern day blockbuster.
Well, you might be onto something there, Guy. I think you might have seen something that nobody else has seen before.
Yeah, I've done it.
Yeah.
And it was all happened here on this podcast.
Yeah.
Forget Kevin Feige.
Who's that?
Shakespeare. He's the head of Marvel Studios.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's done all right for himself, hasn't he?
Who?
Bloody good on him. Kevin Feige.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, he has definitely made millions and millions of dollars. But you know, I don't think you can put him on Shakespeare's level just yet.
Yeah.
Only time will tell if Avengers Endgame has the same appeal, you know, in a couple of thousand years, or at least a couple hundred years. It's not quite 1,000 years, but several hundred years. Avengers Endgame. Spider-Man Homecoming, will we still be remembering it and talking about it fondly in several hundred years? Captain America Winter Soldier, will we be reminiscing on quotes from this? Will we be quoting Bucky from Winter Soldier, just like we quote Macbeth from Macbeth?
I have a feeling we won't, mate.
I certainly have a feeling we won't.
But I do have a quote, a Shakespeare quote that I like. Lechery, sir. It provokes and unprovokes. It provokes the desire, but it takes away the performance. Therefore, Much drink can be said to be an equivocator with lechery. Anyway, it's saying don't drink or you'll get the desire, but you won't have the means to perform.
What was it? Well, I thought there was another one too where he's like, or is it there where it says something about it giveth us a desire, but taketh us away the thing.
Yeah, well, I think that's the same one, maybe. Okay. But yeah, that's the one I was actually looking for.
That's the comedic relief.
Yeah.
And was it in Romeo and Juliet?
No, Macbeth, I think.
Oh, it is in Macbeth. So that's a couple of like court jesters or something, right? That come out and chat.
Literally don't remember.
Porter
and Macduff.
Well, Macduff's kind of a main dude.
Yeah.
Nocturnal says that George Lucas is my Shakespeare. Well, he is also my Shakespeare. Nocturnal. He's the myth maker or the taste maker, the dreamer of dreams. But he's the modern day Shakespeare for sure. George. I'm gonna do a deep dive on George Lucas on the Savage Filmmaker channel at some point.
I'll make sure you head along and subscribe to the Savage Filmmaker.
My love letter to George Lucas is what it's going to be called.
Oh yeah, that might get a few clicks.
It could do.
Could get some clicks.
Or it could do absolutely not well at all.
Yeah.
That's the
fickle nature of YouTube.
It's really the fickle nature of YouTube.
We say as we do our podcast to 5 people after 6 years of doing this show, where we've got our 5 people listening on the live stream. Shout out to those 5 people, by the way. Thank you very much. Shout out Nocturnal. Now, you and I are we broke the big news last couple of weeks that we're gallivanting around the world, the Pigville World Tour, and we're going all the way to Amsterdam because we've both been nominated for acting awards at a hopefully prestigious film festival.
We don't know if it's prestigious.
We don't really know. They look prestigious on the website.
But the look of the website and the photos utilised.
And the price to get in.
And the price to get in.
The price to get in. It's 110 euros to get a ticket to this show.
Do suggest prestige.
Yeah, and there's 2 shows, and they're both 110 euros each. And one of them is the award show, and another one is some sort of Q&A type setup. But what's changed since last week is we have booked our flights now. We've booked those. It's all happening, all official. But as it happens, we're flying separately. On the way there, at least. So that'll be fun.
30 hours by yourself.
Yeah, 30 hours by yourself. No chance really for the filming and no vlogging,
planning. No vlogging world tour.
Yeah. It makes it a little bit tougher. But we will meet up at our hotel in Amsterdam. So that's good. So first you're going to London.
Yep.
And I'm going to Madrid.
Yep. See a couple of family members in London. You're going to catch up with a friend in Madrid.
Yep.
You know, if you weren't so horrifically jet lagged at the time.
Yeah, it might be nice.
Yeah, it might be nice.
Might be enjoyable.
Yeah. Also, you could have been like, because you're meeting up with a friend over there who's also a director, you could be like, hey,
let's make something.
Write something for me. Yeah. We'll shoot it in a day.
He said, so this is our friend Jaime.
Yep.
Jaime Gomez. He is, and he said he's currently working on a lesbian movie. And I was like, well, I like the sound of that. Sounds like the type of movie that I'm into.
How can I play a role in this?
Yep.
How can I feature in this?
Can I put my hand up or any of my other...
Can I get in the middle of this?
Can I get in the middle of this?
Can I somehow wedge myself into this story?
Yeah. Perhaps I could do that. A cameo of sorts. And so yes, unfortunately, I don't know if there's many roles for me in this lesbian movie or if he's going to be filming it when I'm actually there. But I do look forward to hearing more about it. And I am looking forward to that trip. It's going to be good fun.
Yeah, it is going to be good fun, although there's definitely some considerations or concerns about my passport situation. I've sent away for my new passport. I realised that
So you've bought your tickets.
Yep.
yet you do not currently have a valid passport.
Correct. Well, I do have a valid
You do,
passport.
but you don't. It's unusable.
It's unusable.
It's valid but unusable because it's too close to its expiry date.
Yeah.
Which is so stupid.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
What's the point of an expiry date if it's not the expiry date? Why not just make it 3 months earlier and say that's the expiry date?
That's the true expiry date.
That's the real expiry date. If you can't use it, then what's the fucking point of it?
Yes, because so the problem is I've had to send it away to the British Embassy, and over in Britain, the motherland, everything goes very slowly there. Like in terms of the bureaucratic process and like sort of things where you kind of get things in the mail or you're waiting for something. Obviously, this is not the case if we're talking about like your Amazon order, but Jeff Bezos is all over that. But if it's something to do with for Queen and country,
if you want it done right, send an American.
Such as getting a passport or something like that. That process always takes a long time. Now they say 11 weeks.
It doesn't sound very promising, really.
And I've got much less than 11
weeks. You've got 3 weeks.
I've got 3 weeks. Now I did apply for it. I guess 2 weeks ago,
right?
And sent it away.
Yeah.
But that doesn't really mean anything. So,
imagine if I do this whole trip, end up going just by myself, and I don't win. So I just go all the way there, and I attend this party, and that's cool. But I don't win, and I spend $5,000.
Yeah,
on a random whirlwind Europe tour just by myself, just out of the blue. When I'm quite underemployed,
wouldn't be worth it.
No, it wouldn't.
And that's, I mean,
it'd still be cool.
It would still be. Well, actually, I guess it depends on your experience there.
I'm sure I'd have a lot of fun.
I did go off by myself to one of the festivals, and it was maybe the best one that I went to.
I see how it is.
Yeah, that was the one I enjoyed the most.
Yeah,
but it could have just as easily gone a different way, and I do think that it just kind of makes it, or at least for me anyway, I was like, because also, I was like, yeah, okay, so, or if I'm just by myself, how much value will I get out of this trip? And I was kind of like, not very much really. I kind of feel like, this is not cool. Like, this is not a fun thing, which just goes to show how, especially traveling, should really be experienced by you and other parties at the same time, as opposed to it just being you.
Yep. I mean, I don't mind traveling by myself. There's something to be said for not having to deal with other people's bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind traveling by myself, but
there's certainly like things like, oh, hang on a minute, we've just got to wait for Guy's bag. It's been held up for some reason. Oh, so Guy's bag is stuck there, so we've all got to wait here for 45 minutes.
Well,
and then there's the next problem, and then there's the next problem, and then someone wants to go to the toilet, and then someone wants to go somewhere else. Travel light. No bags, no people, just straight through.
Yeah, you say that, but I just feel like it's a bit more like old mate from Blade Runner, where he says he's seen starbursts off the things of something of Orion.
Yeah.
But now no one will remember that.
Yeah.
All of it's gone. Tears in the rain.
Tears in rain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's more the case.
Yeah.
If you don't go, that could happen. You might be seeing starbursts off the shoulder of Orion. No one else there.
Yeah.
That could happen, but I do...
Well, that has happened on a few of my solo journeys where I've gone places and crazy things have happened, but I've experienced it by myself.
So did it ever really happen?
And it never sounds as cool. You go, oh yeah, so I saw this very impressive glacier in Alaska, and it was super impressive. And people are, oh yeah, cool, yeah, interesting. Glaciers, that'd be nice.
I will say that there is nothing that I hate more than people talking about
travel
and not their holidays.
Yeah, me too.
And how
pretty
great
much.
their work.
You're like, oh yeah,
it's an auto switch off for me.
Yeah,
because it's kind of like, oh cool, you saw a fucking cool thing, did you? Well, I fucking didn't.
Yeah.
And now what? You want to rub it in that you did? Really?
For me, the big problem is it's like if I'm not seeing it myself,
you saw the fucking pyramids, did you?
Someone else has seen it.
You want a medal?
But I've seen the photos, so I've already seen the photos, so there's no point in describing the pyramids to me because I've seen the photos. So it's just boring. It's just a boring story.
The only time that I want to hear about people's travel experiences is when I've asked them because I'm thinking of traveling there. That's
Yeah.
the only time I want to hear travel stories. And if you ever share travel stories with anyone other than that time, you better believe that they fucking don't care and they're bored of you and they really want you to stop.
Well, guess
So
what,
just
guy?
think about that.
For the next few episodes of this show are going to be all travel stories.
Yeah.
Oh, it's going to be all travel stories.
Yeah.
100% travel stories. So look forward to that, listeners.
Yeah. I see we've dug ourselves into a little hole here.
A little hole, yeah. Yeah. Well, look, I did try on my suit the other day. After talking to you, you had tried on your suit and had some negative experiences.
Very negative.
And then I went and tried on my suit to see how that was going. And it was a little tight. It was a little bit tighter than I expected. The waistcoat, I got it closed, but then I couldn't really breathe very well. And then I got the jacket and I got that closed as well. But again, couldn't, really breathe. And I had to lose the waistcoat. So basically, I no longer fit the waistcoat portion of my suit, and the rest of it is quite snug because basically I am fat. I'm a big fat man now. I'm a big fat bastard who no longer fits his tailor-made suit.
They were tailor-made for when
me.
you were skinny.
Yeah, exactly.
They weren't tailor-made for you as a fat middle-aged man.
No, exactly. And then when you
As
only
few suits are, to be fair.
when you only get the chance to wear your suit, once every year or three,
It can creep
as
up
well,
on you.
It can really creep up on you as well. I'm still working off my winter weight. Winter 2020 was a really tough one.
Love that joke.
I love it.
That joke never gets old.
It wasn't good the first time, that joke. It's such a dad joke. And so...
It's such a you stand-up joke that I feel like you'd throw that in your stand-up.
yeah, well, look, I mean, hey, it could work. It could work on the stage. But yeah, so I'm a fat bastard.
Yeah, no, I had this really sobering experience because I was like, wow, this is tight. This is like I could close the button.
Yeah.
But
Imagine after a couple of beers.
But it didn't look like
Yeah.
it looked essentially like someone had given me someone else's suit,
Which was too small.
It was too small,
Yeah.
and I remembered when there was like a gap.
Yeah.
It wasn't even pushing against the sides.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Light's gone out.
That's good.
And so I remember that, and so I put the first one on. I was like, you know what? One of them never really fit me as good as the other one. One of them was always a little. It never really fit me that great.
That must be it.
So, but then I put on the other one, and that probably was even worse.
So that was the smaller one. So
and I was
the
like,
bigger
oh,
one doesn't fit you anymore.
No. So I've got two choices at this stage, and it is actually a really difficult one because I've got two options. I can lose enough weight within a month, or less than a month now. It's really it's really creeping up. This thing. It's really creeping up real quick.
Well, yeah, it's like 3 weeks.
Yeah. So I could lose a significant amount of weight in a short amount of time.
Yep.
Okay. Or I could buy an entirely new suit for $500+.
No, if you go to Hallenstein's, you'll get one for $199, and then you're in the mall, and you wander down a few shops down the mall, and they'll take the legs up for you.
Right.
Yeah, so you can get...
Because I'm buying their beast suit for someone and they need to super large people suit.
Maybe, yeah.
So they need to take the legs up.
Yeah, someone with a really big barreled chest, but short legs.
So, yeah, and I don't know which is less likely that I would, like, it's my cheapness versus my discipline.
Yeah.
Right? So this is actually a really good one because it's kind of like, okay, so... cool, you can lose weight to get into this suit. That is a possibility if you are really disciplined. And you really don't like spending money on this type of thing. And and plus it's like an additional expense that you can't really afford right now. So do you go really disciplined with this additional motivation, or do you just accept that that's not going to happen and you bite the bullet and spend the money on the Hallenstein suit? The other thing is those Hallenstein suits aren't like great.
Well, it is not. I mean, let's be honest. If this is a fancy event,
it's a warehouse suit.
if this is a fancy event,
Yeah.
and you show up in a cheap suit, It'll be fine. It'll look fine. But people will be able to tell,
Yeah.
People there who are regular suit wearers will be aware of the fact that your suit is an off-the-rack Hallenstein's suit.
Ill-fitting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, probably no less ill-fitting than your too
It
small one.
It can't be worse. It can't, although I did acknowledge that of my old suits, they could still be used if I just kept the button open the whole time.
Yeah.
I went just full button open.
But
That's
what I do. And
do.
you just have a shirt underneath and that's it. And you just walk around with your guts out, hanging out.
That's
and
right.
Your shirt and your buttons open.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's sort of a Tony Soprano sort of almost.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there. Yeah, well, because I was thinking the same thing, except for my problem was because I couldn't really keep the waistcoat on. It did fit, but barely. I couldn't really keep the waistcoat on, which meant I had to have just the shirt and the jacket, but nothing in between. So I feel like it would look okay if it was like you had your shirt, your jacket undone, but you still had your vest underneath done up. I think that looks good. But if you have just no vest and just the jacket and just the shirt, I'm not sure that looks so great. And so I was thinking I have to wear this, but with the buttons done up. And luckily I could kind of squeeze into it. But I don't think it looked too bad. I asked my flatmate and her friend if how I looked, and you
said, do I look fat in this?
And they did not say that I looked like a sausage which was bursting out of its skin. So that's good.
Yeah, well, look, I think I'm going to go with plan A, which is lose a bit of weight.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be real and say I'm going to look for a new suit very shortly.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Losing weight's too hard, man. There's too many other factors. It's always the other factors that get me, right? So it's like, I've been working for 12 hours straight on something. I'm really hungry. I got nothing in the fridge. Uber Eats.
Exactly, right?
I've been like rushing around the whole day from place to place to place to place. The only thing, and now I'm going to another place, but I'm dying of starvation. Well, I just have to get a pie and a coffee from the thing where I get the petrol, because that's the only place I'm going to be before I go to the next place. And if I don't eat before I get to the next place, I might just faint.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of that going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've got to get a pie.
These hashtag first world problems, these ones.
Too busy.
Too busy
to
but
eat well.
I hear what you're saying, because I'm exactly the same. I'm running around and then it's like, crap. I'm just going to swing by this drive-through. Fuck it. Who cares? I'm very similar to you in the sense that I kind of want to maybe get a new suit, but I was thinking that it's a really shitty time for me in terms of finances with this trip to be going and splashing out another couple of hundy on a suit, even just a Hellstains suit. And also the big one for me is that it's conceding defeat.
It is.
It's just acknowledging that I'm fat and that this is my fatness, and that basically I'm not only am I fat, and not only is this my fatness, but I have now bought a suit in this fatness size because I've become comfortable with the fact
you'll never go back
that
down.
I'm never going back. And if I in that case I don't get to I can't remember what I was going to say there, but yes, I'm never going back basically, and that's kind of the problem. I'm stuck with it. That's right. You get like, I'll be like, I don't want to lose weight, because if I lose some weight, my suit won't fit me anymore.
I just wasted all that money on a suit.
I wasted all that money on a suit. I've got an obligation, a financial obligation to eat this fucking pie.
Yeah, it's
in the drive-thru at McDonald's.
It's a catch-22.
On my way through to pick up a Big Mac combo.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely, or sometimes you go, look, I'm going to make the most of a bad situation. I just get the chicken nuggets.
Yeah.
And then you go, I'll get the chicken nuggets, please. And they go, okay, would you like fries with that?
Is that because there's no bread on that or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you like fries with that?
Yeah.
Oh, you go on then.
Yeah.
May as well upsize it. Yeah. Well, that's not going to be enough on its own, so better make that a hunger buster.
Yeah.
But of course, I'm going to be a bit thirsty from all the bad salty chemicals in that, so I'm going to need an ice cream to wash that down.
Yeah.
So go ahead and throw that into the thing.
Okay, ice cream is too far. I thought you were just going to say like a Coke. No. But ice cream, that's completely unnecessary, guy. No, that's a step too far.
It's the sweet with the savory, you see.
Yeah. Well, there's nothing like dipping your McDonald's fries into into your sundae and
disgusting
then eating it.
Behavior.
Have you tried it? It's
Heathen.
It's pretty good. Dip your fries into your ice cream.
I've tried it. It's silly, but
it's good.
the getting an
What about
extra,
popcorn
getting
at the
extra
cinema with your ice cream and you dip it in?
No, that's great, but I wouldn't.
That's-
You
well,
don't,
it's the same
no,
thing.
No, you
It's
don't
very- it's
dip it.
extremely
You don't
similar.
dip it in.
What do you do?
Take a bite, some popcorn. Bite,
okay.
popcorn.
But
bite,
I mean, all
popcorn.
right. I mean, that's just an ineffective way of doing what I'm doing, which is I've got my container and then I just dip it in,
Well,
and then you come it out, and
you
then
risk
and then there's-
losing
and then you
your
go-
ice cream.
Nah,
if you do
those cinema ice creams are well built. Say what you want about cinemas, but they know how to build an ice cream, and they keep them cold. They keep them the right kind of cold.
Well, they keep them all together too cold, you might say.
Well, I guess the idea, though, right, is that they need to be super cold so you can make it through the 35 minutes of trailers you've got to watch.
Yeah. Now, a sort of a funny side note about our trip is that we have a friend over in the in Ireland who was originally our flatmate who got rich through cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
Right? He was a fireman.
Classic.
He was a fireman. I don't
Yeah.
think is he still a fireman?
I'm not sure.
We don't really know.
Yeah.
But he was a fireman, super nice guy. And we said, look, we're going to be at this thing. We can get you tickets. We're movers and shakers. We can get you to the awards ceremony. We'd love to see you. Fancy coming over to Amsterdam? And he said, look, guys, I'd love to.
Yeah.
Except I'm going to a wedding on the south of France that day.
Yeah.
That day.
Yeah.
And, but would you consider extending your trip a couple of weeks and you guys can, I'll fly you from Amsterdam to where I am and you can come stay on my boat.
Yeah.
He owns a boat,
He's got crypto.
which people can stay on.
Yeah.
A boat, right? That's not simply configured only for sailing from one place to another or just I'd feel like going out on the harbour to do some fishing today. No. This is a boat of some description that people can sleep in.
It's got doors and beds.
Maybe three.
It's got
three
toilet.
at least.
It must have a toilet.
A toilet facility in a boat.
Yeah.
Could you imagine such a thing?
That's the level we're talking about.
So yeah, I would really have loved to go on that boat. I'm on a boat,
Motherfucker.
but unfortunately, that's the thing. We live different lives now. This is the super rich cryptocurrency entrepreneur versus some guys that got to get back to their day jobs real quick.
Well, mate, I told you already. I used my OnlyFans money to buy crypto, and I got to tell you, I wouldn't say I'm getting rich out of it yet. I bought Ethereum, Bitcoin, and Dogecoin, and I bought about $2,000 worth of it. And it is currently worth about $1,985. So basically, I've maybe lost like $15 or $100 or something like that. But
I really thought you were going to say that you'd made a small amount.
no, I'm down, but just like ever so slightly. And it's basically just kind of like level. It's just been at that level for ages. It's just staying there. But here's the thing with my crypto investment. I was like, well, look, I don't know enough about this bullshit to go throwing real money at it. But what I'll do is I'll buy a couple of grand worth and I'll just leave it. And then I'll come back in 10 years and see what happens. See what it looks like. You know, so you never know. Then maybe that's the strategy that'll win. You know, 10 years from now, Dogecoin will be worth heaps. And I bought like $300 worth of it or something like that. So you never know. With Elon Musk endorsing it on left, right, and center, and then also Elon Musk talking about and they take Tesla takes Dogecoin, and then also Elon Musk said that he's opening up the possibility of Twitter payments and things being able to be bought on Twitter via Dogecoin as well.
Well, he does own Twitter now.
He does, yeah. So if my boy Muskie's on it, if Daddy Musk's on it, and he's pro Doge, then I'm pretty sure I'll just buy a little bit of Doge and just wait it out, and then next thing you know, I'm the next crypto millionaire.
Nocturnal says that while he's been trapped in New Zealand, he stays sane, thinking about his time in Paris and the French Riviera. Got to have these experiences while you can.
Agreed, and that's why I know that that's why I don't feel bad about buying these tickets, even if whatever, no matter what happens, it's a chance to, even if you don't go, it'll still be a chance to kind of experience something new and get out there. One thing I'm a little bit sad about, though, is that I should have gone to Glasgow instead of Madrid, maybe, because I chose Madrid because I was like, well,
there's still time to change that.
Yeah, there is. And I've been thinking about it because basically Glasgow is where my mum is from, and I've got a bunch of family over there that I've never met, and they seem like a bunch of good buggers, and they seem like they party hard, and it seems like, that'd be a cool bunch to hang out with. But I instead chose Madrid, and I chose Madrid for 3 reasons. One, my friend's there, Jaime, he's a filmmaker, and this is kind of a work trip. And I was like, well, if I go and see this director, and I'm also going to try and connect with a few other filmmaking related people in Madrid. And then so I was like, well, call it work. Plus, it's heading into summer over there. It's going to be Spain in summer. It's going to be beautiful. And on top of that, I can practice my Spanish. And so I chose Madrid. But now I'm starting to feel a little bit like, when's the next time I'm going to be on the other side of the world, close enough to, visit my relatives for like basically $100. It cost me $100 to go from Amsterdam to Glasgow, exactly. And then I could probably stay with them, So I feel a bit like, I've accidentally chosen the fun party thing when I should have chosen the find your heritage and never forget your roots, my friend, trip.
I mean, I feel like those guys have forgot their roots.
The 660 guys.
The guys that sing that
Yeah.
have completely detached themselves from reality.
660 for our international listeners. They're a huge, huge band here. Everybody's in love with 660.
Well,
They
not just
fill out
here.
These huge stadiums. Yeah.
Not just here.
I doubt the Americans have heard of them.
I feel like they have.
Jason P. Diddy Combs will let us know if he's heard of 660, which is spelled S-I-X and then 60. S-I-X 60. 660. That's going to sound funny in our accent. In fact, that's a really funny name for a New Zealand band to have now that I think about it. 660.
Joanna on the live stream says that she tried ice cream with popcorn last time. Delicious.
Shout out to Joanna. And yes, it was delicious. New tricks.
Callum says that Glasgow is 10 times colder than Dunedin.
Yeah.
Now that's actually really fucking cold.
But I actually looked at the weather at the time to kind of gauge it, and it is heading into their summer. So it's the month before summer sort of really kicks off. So it shouldn't be too bad. And then also, whatever, that's okay. It can be cold. I'm from a cold place. Yeah. Well, we'll see. But currently the plan is Madrid. I can picture it now. I've never been to Madrid. I don't know anything about it. But what I'm picturing is like well-dressed people with like pressed pants and like scooters, like little mopeds, and like, sort of like leather or like crocodile skin type, shoes, dress shoes, that type of thing. Old buildings, all that crap. That's what I'm picturing.
I think Glasgow has some old buildings. Castles, no less.
Yeah, well, it's true. And one of those probably belonged to one of my ancestors.
Or one of your ancestors cleaned the toilets there.
Yeah, one of my ancestors was a indentured servant there.
Yeah.
Which is more likely.
Yeah.
They had to empty the bucket, the chamber pot. Yeah. I was a little bit annoyed that I've got beef to pick with Air New Zealand because I've been saving Airpoints for years so that I could finally use them for something exactly the same as this, exactly this opportunity. I'm a little bit broke. I've got this big trip. Well, luckily I've got $500 worth of Airpoints that I can use. Well, turns out that with Air New Zealand, it's got to be more, I don't know, this seems like such an arbitrary rule. It's got to be more than a quarter of your trip's value. So if you are traveling somewhere and it costs $1,000, you need to have minimum 250 Airpoints to use them because it's got to be a quarter of your trip. It's got to be a quarter of the value of your trip. Now, this trip that I'm taking is like $3,000 because I'm going to the other side of the world and gallivanting around while I'm over there. And so $500, which is how many Airpoints I've got, is not a quarter of $3,000. And so I couldn't use my Airpoints despite having this big old trip. And if I had been able to use my Airpoints, well then, God damn it, I would have flown Air New Zealand. You imbeciles.
They're pretty expensive.
Yeah, probably.
See, this is what I get about Air New Zealand, right? They're like,
they are the best.
We're losing millions of dollars. I don't think they're the best. But they're like...
I think they're really good.
We're losing millions of dollars. We need money from the government. It's a pandemic. It's a disaster.
Harley, we're going to release a whole bunch of extra stock onto the stock market, making your stock go down in value.
So we've done all this shit, but how we won't mitigate all this loss? by providing cheap flights for people who want to fly.
Yeah.
We won't do that.
No.
We're in New Zealand, goddammit.
Yeah.
We don't provide cheap flights for anyone.
Well, they don't need to, mate. They're the national carrier of a first world country at the bottom of the world, which is a set of small islands. It's brilliant. They don't need to. They need to just provide a premier service at whatever price they goddamn please. Well, within reason.
Emirates.
Well, that's what we'll be flying. No Airpoints for us.
I did notice on my trip back from Dunedin that they had updated, or I was just happened to be in a plane where they actually had a video touchscreen where you could watch movies from takeoff to landing.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's fucking lovely, guys. I'm so glad that you got up to date with every other fucking airline the last 10 years.
Oh, mate, don't jinx it. There's a very real possibility that you and I both are going to step onto planes for a 30-hour journey, the beginning of our 30-hour journey. And there's going to be like no films. There's just going to be like one little TV at the front of the,
No
of the
chance,
plane that'll just go zzz,
Absolutely no chance.
and then drop down, and then they'll start playing a rerun of Die Hard.
You only say that. You only say that because you've been flying on Air New Zealand too long.
Well, it would be good if they did a rerun of Die Hard. It wouldn't be Die Hard.
You've been flying Air New Zealand too long.
It'd be a fucking the Toolman Taylor movie, whatever his name is. What's his name?
Home Improvement guy.
Yeah.
Tim Allen.
Tim Allen. It'll be a Tim Allen family movie. We go zzz.
Yeah. Yeah, so I remember back one of the earlier times when I was like 11, I think, when I traveled to London. That's what they had, right? Obviously, they didn't have touch screens or anything back then. And I was like, and they just played Bird on a Wire, which is a classic Mel Gibson caper film with Mel Gibson and Goldie Hawn. And I remember watching it about 5 times on that flight, just because I had nothing else to do. How spoiled are we?
Why would they rerun the same film though?
Because it was like, they played that and then like maybe two other things.
And then back to that.
And then back to that.
And
so I just kept watching this film, but that was the only good thing on, was Bird on a Wire.
Yeah. Well, I bet you know it quite well now.
Well, I would love to tell you that I don't. I've kind of completely forgotten the plot, except that Mel Gibson and Goldie Hawn did have good chemistry. They had that kind of bickering back and forth dynamic that you and I have. Great chemistry.
Great chemistry.
So
until you have to live it.
until it's 20 years. So anyway, that's all I really remember about it. But yeah, so we've come a long way, and also this one had Wi-Fi. And I was like,
so you're talking a domestic flight?
Yeah, this is a domestic flight.
Had all this, yeah.
And I was like, oh, amazing, Wi-Fi, yeah, sweet. So I logged on.
$20.
No, it was free, but it was free fuck you Wi-Fi. Because basically it was like, yeah, so you can't stream anything.
I can't watch my porn with this.
You can't stream anything. You can't watch YouTube. You can't do anything. All you can do is check your emails.
What if you want to do like a live stream jerk-off video in the toilet?
Definitely not. That's the thing.
They don't have the bandwidth.
You can't, exactly. They don't have the bandwidth. They don't have the capacity. And it's like, come on, man. Why do you think we're going on the internet? It's not to check our fucking email.
And that's a great way to kill 2 minutes as well.
Yeah. What?
Jerking off in the bathroom.
Live streaming.
Yeah, live streaming.
So it's sort of like, there's still some limitations there, but it's like we've got to get streaming on these plans. We got to.
Yeah.
I can't be pre-downloading my Netflix.
Can you imagine though? Can you imagine once we?
I can't be doing pre-planning.
Once the influencers get wind of this, it'll be you're sitting on a fucking plane, and next thing you know, all the knobheads all around you will all be live streaming. Oh, here I am! Look at me! I'm harassing this bald man. I'm harassing this bald, tired guy. Check it out! He doesn't think it's funny. He's a racist.
Well,
he's a sexist.
Well,
he's an est.
We did see that happen in a recent video where someone was trolling Mike Tyson.
It got punched for it.
Got punched repeatedly in the head.
Well, what an idiot.
Yes.
What an idiot.
I mean, it is funny.
It's what makes you think that because the person's famous that you can harass them any more than you could harass any other person. If you think, you would never just be like, I'm just going to harass this guy in front of me just because I'm a bully, just because I'm a dick. And if you got punched in the face, you wouldn't be like, never saw that coming. What a surprise. But they think because it's a celebrity that they can just do whatever they want, and the person basically has their hands tied, and it's like, they don't, man. You're fucking dumb. You're a dumb cunt. They're going to knock you the fuck out. And Mike Tyson did.
Yeah.
Not quite, but
just not good. But I did also see someone this was something that Casey Neistat, the famous YouTuber, did a bunch of times, where he's like, I'm traveling on the most expensive flight ever. This costs $20,000. This flight is $25,000. So what do you get for $20,000? What is the environment that you travel in for $20,000? And then he would sort of document that.
And how do you do that without coming across as a wanker?
Well, I think there's two things. Casey Neistat seems like a sort of a very grounded guy, kind of just skating around the streets of New York, and he never tries to, he often tries to, show tech or do things that are as affordable to normal people. He doesn't go, hey, check out this thing that cost me $50,000. He's like, check out this camera that I got, that was $900. I still use it, that sort of thing. And I think that's endearing to people. And I guess but that's the thing, is like, in the same way that we want to know about the lifestyles of the rich and famous, we also want to know how they live. And so I watched it because I was like, wait, there's a flight that you can spend $20,000 on a ticket. Who would do that, and what would you get? I wanted to know. Guess what? You get a lot more than what you get in an economy. But I was thinking of doing the economy version of that.
Yeah, right.
Where it's like, this is what you get for a $1,000 flight. And then sort of just documenting the shitty airline food. And it's like, so this is the room I have, and I'll just pan it right, and there'll be someone right next to me with his shoulder up like this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so, not a huge amount of room, but, you can pop up the armrest, so get a bit of breathing room.
You can put the seat back 2 inches.
Yeah.
Two whole
you can see
inches.
this, which is going to make it much easier to sleep. If you're back 2 degrees, definitely won't have any neck problems. So I might do that on the trip over.
One of the problems that we both have on the trip over is that I believe we both stop in somewhere like Brisbane on the way there.
Yeah, we got two stops.
So basically, you get on the plane, and it's about 10 p.m. when we.
Yeah.
Oh no, wait, that might be coming back. But no, sorry, that's coming back. But basically, you're not going to get the chance to sleep on the first plane because it's going to be a relatively short flight. Now, that might work out actually, but yeah.
Oh, I tend not to sleep on the flights anyway.
I used to know a doctor, and she would prescribe me sleeping pills when I was traveling, and so I would just go and I'd pop a sleeping pill and be like, all right, I'll see you guys in Paris. Or wherever I was going, not Paris. I've never been to Europe before, but and then you just go to sleep, and it really worked. And then I thought that it was just me. I thought that I was just really good at sleeping on planes. I was like, oh yeah, no, I just jump on planes and go to sleep.
It turned out you had a sleeping pill addiction, Harley.
Yeah, turned out I couldn't sleep at all.
I just popped one of these in my mouth, maybe 2, and I'm out like a light.
Yeah. Well, so turns out it wasn't me. Turns out it was the sleeping pills. Turns out they are effective because I can't sleep. I sleep like shit on fucking planes now.
I was going to say, it turns out it was your crippling addiction to sleeping pills. That was what was making you sleep.
I'm like my hero, Lil Xan.
Yeah, so look forward to all the updates there about that, about our travels and trips. Yeah.
Well, in unrelated news, I'm sure we'll come back to that, but in unrelated news, my flatmate has announced that she is moving out. She's going back to her home country. Interesting time to be going back to her home country because she is Russian, as we've mentioned on the show. So she's going back there to see family and all that type of thing. And so she is moving out, which means that she who shall be named is moving in. So big news. Big news. Got the girlfriend moving into the house. So we'll see how that goes. I'll keep you all posted on that one.
As long as she doesn't break up with you on Christmas Day, mate, you've got nothing to worry about.
Nothing to worry
Just keep
about.
an eye out around Christmas Days. Major festive events of
Yeah.
any description, and
Yeah.
just be wary around those days. Don't sleep in too long on those particular days.
Yeah.
Right? Don't be asleep and give her time to wake up and think about
Yeah.
how miserable her life is with you.
Did you happen to sleep in on
Yes,
Christmas Day?
I did happen to sleep in. Don't get caught filming late, late at night until
Yeah.
4 a.m. on Christmas Eve. Don't get caught doing that.
Yeah.
Make sure that you go to bed a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
Because, this is what will lead to her breaking up with you on Christmas Day, as I can attest to.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Beware, people. There you go.
Get up early.
So-
Get up crack of dawn, because then they're like, so what's happening is they're contemplating all their life choices up until this point.
Yeah.
And their true the amount of happiness that they have with you as a partner, right? And at about when they wake up, this is weighing on their mind. It's weighing on their mind about, and so they wake up quite early, right? About 7 a.m. It starts to percolate. And then they have from 7 a.m. till 11 a.m. That's just a 4-hour thing, and all they're thinking about is
4-hour window of
all the things that you've done to
reflection.
wrong them.
Yeah.
And also thinking about all your annoying habits, which is one of which you are doing right now, which is sleeping in and staying up too late and snoring really loudly. And all of these things are just building up, and they're just sitting there going, and maybe they're trying to go back to sleep, but they can't because of these things. Some of those problems, and then they got 4 hours to think about all the problems. Now, if I was up at 7 a.m., morning, babe.
Yeah.
Here's a coffee. We're the coffees. Let's go for a coffee. And she was like, I think yeah, okay, whatever. Get the coffee. Yeah, okay, sure. But she hasn't had time to really, really reflect on it, So up nice and early. No one's going to break up with you on Christmas Day.
Okay.
Relationship tips.
Thank you. I and the listeners will keep that extremely specific
Case.
piece of advice, and we will be sure to implement it.
Don't let them catch you sleeping.
Yeah.
Quite
Yeah.
literally, don't let them catch you sleeping. If they catch you sleeping, just saying.
Well, I'll keep that in mind.
It's lucky I woke up early on my birthday.
I'll keep that in mind. Last time, yeah. Well, your birthday's coming up, actually.
Yeah.
And we have not organised a party yet for a combined birthday party between, as sometimes happens, as often happens, the Pigville combined birthday party, somewhere in between your birthday and my birthday.
Yeah.
And it's always a good time. I've never had a bad one yet.
Yeah.
And so we were meant to do one this month, May. However, now we're both going to Amsterdam in June, and ain't got no fucking money and energy. And also, what about like COVID? I'm like, I didn't buy the kind of tickets that you can give back. I didn't buy the type of tickets that you can refund. So what happens if we have a party on the 28th of May or something, and then we catch COVID, and then we're sick, or one of us is sick, or I'm sick, during this COVID, when I'm trying to get on the plane, and I test positive for COVID. Well, that's it. That's the end of the trip, right? That's a waste of all of that money. So basically, I've got to forego my birthday, or we just have a party anyway. The thing is, I'm pretty sure my flatmate wants to have a party. She wants to have like a leaving party.
Right.
And then there's also, probably it's a good idea to have a welcome party for she who shall be named, flat warming of sorts. And then there's your birthday and my birthday all rolled up into one. And she who shall be named's birthday is also this month. So one gigantic party, gigantic COVID super spreader event at our place before we go.
I wonder if we could chuck in some filming.
Yeah, well, I mean, there'll be a bunch of people. We don't know if those people have necessarily agreed to be filmed, but I guess what we'll do is we'll create one of my famous concoctions, one of my famous sangrias, and we'll pass around the sangria, and then we'll pass around the release forms. And we'll just sort of say, hey, by the way, guys, we're just going to get a few shots. If you don't want to be in it, no worries. Go out into the hallway. All of you guys that want to be in it, just stay where you are. Keep doing what you're doing.
If you don't want to be in it, get the fuck out.
Get the fuck out. This is a filmmaking party.
Get the fuck out.
This is a party about
What's
our
wrong with you?
lives.
Get the fuck out right now. If you don't want to be in it.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe we should do that. I've got an idea about. I just need someone that looks like a crew.
So you're saying
I need somebody that looks like a crew.
So you're saying we should have a birthday party just so that we can film at it?
No, we should have birthday parties to celebrate our birthdays, but we should tack on this little bit of filming.
Yeah.
Because we will have a bunch of people there, and we will then not have to organise having people there.
Yeah.
At some other point.
And what's the crew? What do you say that they have to look like a crew?
Yeah,
what
like
do you
a
mean?
filming crew.
So you need a bunch of people that look like a film crew. So you're having a party and people are like, oh yeah, I'm just going around to a party as a barbecue or something, this, whatever. And then you want to what? Give them some gaffer tape and be like, you're a crew member now.
You're standing by this light.
You're standing by this light. So now you're actually you're not talking about filming a party scene.
No.
Right. Okay. So when I thought you were filming a party scene, I was like, this makes sense. When you're now talking about getting a bunch of drunk people to pretend they're actors.
You shoot at the beginning.
Yeah.
Well before they're drunk.
To pretend they're actors.
Yeah.
And pretend they're a crew.
No, you be smart about it, Harley, of course. You
invite actors.
You pepper in the real actors.
Of course, obviously.
And the real actors do all the real acting. They just stand around looking like crew.
Yeah. But why that doesn't sound as appealing to me as a potential extra / guest at a party. Like, hey, show up early and like basically we're going to film this thing before everybody gets drunk. And you're like, wait a minute, so what? I'm being an extra in a movie? That's what you're telling me. I'm being an extra in a movie.
Yeah, I actually think that for a lot of people that's great.
Well, no, it is great if it's just a party and it's like, cool. So all you guys got to do is like just do what you're going to do anyway and kind of hang out and shut up every 5 minutes for a take. But it's different when it's like, hey, so anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to let you be an extra.
I actually think, again, lots of people will be up for that.
Yeah, well, I think that those people won't necessarily be very good extras, though, because they won't really know what they're actually in for. What you want is those professional extras. They know what they're in for.
Yes, they are also certifiably insane.
But if you want a party scene guy, well, then that makes sense.
I don't really want to party.
We'll get everybody all around, and then we just go, hey, guys, by the way, we're also going to get a bunch of shots for production value. We just need the actor to walk into the room and like do some stuff, kind of cutaway type shit.
Yeah. I mean, that's good too, but I don't have any use for that. It's almost like collecting stock footage.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, we're just going to collect the stock footage of a party.
Yeah.
For some point when we need a party.
Yeah. Well, you did exactly that with a slow motion shot of me chopping wood not very long ago, topless. I was topless in the backyard chopping wood. And extreme slow-mo. And that was essentially just like for one day when you need it.
Oh, no, I know what I need it for.
Yeah.
It's going in one of these. So this is the thing is like, I am 100 episodes ahead of where I currently am in terms of the Savage film. Yeah, exactly. So, there's something that and I actually thought about this. I was like, fuck, I've really got to do that. But it's because it's not very time sensitive, is that we shot this great skit, which has still not come out.
Yeah. Where I'm a bug?
Which is like...
I was thinking about that.
like 5 months ago.
I've been working on my show reel.
Yeah.
And that
would have been good for the show reel.
I was thinking about that skit. I was like,
It would have been great for the show reel.
Yeah. Why is that? Why don't I have that one?
That would have been great for the show reel. Well, it was because it requires some additional factors to get made, and sort of additional inconveniences, shall we say. But it's definitely at the forefront of the list now. But that's what I'm saying. That was 6 months ago. So, you've got all the ideas of good ideas, and then you've got all the different ideas of things that you could do in between those things, and then you've got all the ideas of things that happen spontaneously because of what's going on in the film world. And so, that's the thing. Like that shot of you doing that slow motion is for a comparison between two different cameras. But I haven't written that comparison, but I know that I'm going to write that comparison. But it's a particularly big comparison. So it's like, well, that's going to be a 40-minute thing. And it's like, I don't know if I want that 40-minute thing to be the next 40-minute thing. So,
Well, if we have a party this month,
yeah,
I am going to be pushing for that party to involve fire. And so I will need to chop more wood. And so if there is good weather and we mow the lawn, we can have a party, we can light the fire, and then when it gets too cold, we can all go inside. That's fine. But the point is that I'll have to chop a bunch of wood. And so you can use your other camera to shoot me chopping wood again.
Well, I don't need that now. I already got it.
But you don't need it with your other camera, isn't it? The whole point is that it's kind of a comparison video.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Well, no, I've already got two comparisons.
Other slow motion.
Other slow
things.
motion, but I wanted.
I feel like a
motion.
hairy man chopping wood in slow motion.
You're really
I feel
into.
like you really
I still feel like you're really into. You're really into me filming you chopping wood with your shirt off.
Yeah.
I feel like that's something you're really into.
Well, it's OnlyFans gold basically is what it is. It's OnlyFans gold. So I mean that's worth a lot of money to me.
Yeah,
it's worth a lot of money. Yeah. Well, with my flatmate moving out and she who shall be named moving in, there is also possible plans for a future Airbnb experiment because there's going to be a spare room at my house. So I was thinking of, signing up for Airbnb and just seeing if we could get people, not necessarily like every week or anything like that, but more like when there's a game at the big sports stadium near us, we list our place and just get $100 or $150 or $80 or something, whatever it is, for a night. Just the problem is, I mean, on the one hand, that sounds fine. It sounds nice. I'm sure I'll meet a lot of cool and interesting people, and it probably won't actually be that much work once it's set up, and it'll be probably kind of nice, just do it every now and then. But on the other hand, I bet sometimes you'll just get somebody who's like a smelly grub, who's just a grubby, stinky grub who shows up and leaves a big shit stain down the toilet bowl and pubes in the shower and then goes to the rugby game and comes home fucking shit faced, at 2 a.m. because they've been out partying. They've just come up. They've just come up from Auckland. They've just come up to Auckland from fucking Te Awamutu, and now they're shit faced and it's 2 a.m. and they've got the jingle in their mind from their winning team chant, whatever it is, because their team won and they're all noisy and they met somebody in the town, and they're like, oh, I just come back to my Airbnb, we'll just have sex and stuff, it'll be sweet, and so that might put me off. That type of thing.
Walls are shaking.
Walls are shaking, and here I am with she who shall be named, and I'm like, listen, this is making me look bad. I can't compete, with this.
Can you guys keep it down?
Can you guys keep it down? You're making me look bad. It sounds like she's having. Excuse me. It sounds like she's having a really nice time in there. Can you keep it down?
It's sounding like she's having a nicer time than my girlfriend does when we do the same thing.
You're provoking questions that I cannot answer. Please.
Please, I beg of you.
I'm giving you 1 star.
I don't want.
1 star.
You're
too good in bed.
Your Airbnb rating is affecting my B rating. In the B rating.
My D rating. So we'll see. I'll keep you all posted about that. In other news, I also wanted to shout out to Sam Wheeler, aka Nocturnal, on the live stream, who is a talented and creative man who's been doing a great job working with me lately. He's also pleasant and professional to work with. He's been doing a great job with working on my show reel to get a new show reel started. So, and as it happened, my last show reel was in 2016. So it's been 6 years. So basically I've got 6 years worth of content to, boil down to 3 or 4 or 5 minutes. And so the first cut was 27 minutes, and that was missing a bunch of things. Then we took it down to 9 minutes. Then we took it down to 5 minutes. And then I think it's, one more pass, Sam, and we'll be good to go. And so it's pretty much ready to rock. It's getting there. And so hit up Sam Wheeler if you need, for all of your filmmaking needs. Can recommend, a.k.a. Nocturnal on YouTube on the live stream right now. So the great news, though, is that this show reel is nearly finished, and also, it's the award nomination is going to be officially announced for this award, festival thing we're going to. So that's going to be officially announced next week. Well, actually, maybe tomorrow, this weekend, it's going to be announced, and then my show reel is going to come out at exactly the same time. So so that's really perfect timing. So basically, I'll have a lot of acting related stuff to post about on social media, and I'll also have a brand new show reel to show off at the same time. So so that's very cool. So and I'm sure that will get the attention of Viva La Dirt League. I'm sure that they will definitely notice this award nomination and new show reel and say, hey, you know what we haven't cast? You know who we haven't cast for fucking ages? Harley Neville. Remember, he was in some of our skits. No, he was good. He always showed up on time, did a good job.
Just holding on to that dream, eh?
Yeah, I'm getting in there. I'm going to get in. I'm going to get back in there, guys. I'm going to get back on the Viva La Dirt leagues. I'm in.
I'm going to be part of the league.
I'm going to be part of the team. They're going to want me again.
Well, I mean, that's more likely than the other thing, which is that anyone outside of the industry gives a shit.
Well, I mean, my Facebook friends. Do you mean about what the award ceremony?
No, well, I guess what I mean, I just
because my Facebook friends would never let me down.
Okay, where is this? Is it this one? Oh no, it's not that one. Oh, we don't have a proper drum beat.
Yeah, right. We're not wearing our headphones either. So whatever that was, it was meant to be. Boom, boom.
Yeah, my Facebook friends would never let me down. Boom, boom. Yeah, no, I guess I just was listening to an interesting interview with a filmmaker, and he was like, "Yeah, the problem with like Facebook, social media, and stuff when you're kind of trying to cultivate an audience." For your films or whatever, is that it's a bunch of people in the industry like circle jerking each other, and also it's a bunch of people in the industry that all want jobs on your film. So you're getting lots of kudos like, hey Harley, keep it up, man.
Moly.
It's looking cool, bro. Oh, dope. Oh, this looks so amazing. Yeah. Oh, congrats. Hey, congrats, guys. And you mistake that for not just these people, but the world.
The world. Yeah.
And you go, yes, that's right. Everyone loves my film. And it's and I'm seeing that on a micro level. But actually what you're seeing is on a micro level, people wanting to be employed by you or people wanting to be involved in your projects. But very specifically industry people who are notorious for not fucking paying for anything. Like as in, hey, I'll check out your film. Oh, cool. Well, you catch it on Vimeo for X amount of dollars. Hey, you got a free link for me, mate?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's cool. But what about a free link?
Well, luckily we do, though. We can always give you a free link.
Well, we can.
All you guys got to do is go to Tubi, which is tubi.com, tubi.com, and search for Older on that website. Or you can get, there's just a link in the description anyway.
Supporting my artist friend. Yeah, that's cool. You know what would even be cooler? If you gave me a free link. Congratulations, love heart emoji.
To be fair, it is kind of like work related, right? You know, like if you're a filmmaker, you have you've got to watch a bunch of films, even if you think that they're probably not going to be very good.
Power of the Dog is what I'm thinking about. I've got to eventually watch that.
You've got to watch that, yeah. But also like locally, like it's good to support people's films, even if you don't have high hopes for the films.
Yes.
I'm attending...
Which we do many times, actually.
Yeah, well, I'm attending a low budget premiere
But we are willing to pay for those, you and I.
Yeah, but not full time. Like not as in I can't. I'm not. If every single filmmaker,
hey, if all my filmmaking friends want me to pay their film,
and they want me to pay to see their film, obviously that's not going to work, is it? You know. So there is some justification for asking for that free link if you're an industry insider. Of course, the issue is. Then nobody makes money. So it's the circle jerk where they then watch your movie, you make no money, and then so you can't make another movie in order to employ them. If they paid for the movie, you never know. Maybe they could employ. We could employ you one day.
The circle jerk is complete.
Yeah. The circle jerk of life.
The unemployed actor has now become the unemployed filmmaker.
Everybody's unemployed.
Now the circle jerk is complete. So there you go. That's what happens in this. But anyway, but within that. Viva La Dirt League might actually see that. I'm going to send it
to them directly. I'm going to send it to all three of them directly.
All right,
with
good.
a pitch message being
you don't think that's going to come off as a little needy.
No, not at all. That's called hustling, homie. That's the hustle.
You don't think
they can't employ you if they don't know about you.
You don't think they're going to be a little bit like,
this
guy. Motherfucker, Harley.
No.
I got that same message. Did you get that message?
No, because what I would do is I wouldn't copy paste it and be like, hello, hello, Alan. Here's the exact same message. So what I would do is, I would personalize. I mean, I know them, all three of them personally, right? So, so I would message them directly and be like, hey man, here's my new shit, and I fucking would love the opportunity to keep working with you, and I'm around, so just keep me in mind for stuff. And the truth is that for me, when I'm casting things, that does actually help. Like when you're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's right, that dude's pretty keen and active, and he's doing stuff and he's making things happen and he's hustling, and and he also sent me his new show reel, and look, he's done a whole bunch of shit that I didn't know about.
It's a bit of a fine line, isn't it? Because you're right, and obviously your mind goes to the people that have reminded you of themselves whenever because that's the thing. You do meet, like, if you're in this sort of industry, you meet a lot of people, like you do meet a lot of people that want to do film in some capacity or want to be part of your film in some capacity. And you go, yeah, cool. And then you forget all about them.
Yeah.
Because you meet so many of them.
Yeah.
And so the only people that stay in your head are the fucking annoying ones who keep pestering you.
Well, I think that's the line you're talking about, right?
Yeah,
because you've got the ones.
It's a real
on the
balance.
one hand, you've got the ones that you're like, listen, I'm never going to like choose this person because you're obnoxious or you're just annoying. You're just annoying in whatever way. And then you've got the other end. You've got the people that you completely forget about. And then in the sweet spot in the middle there is the people that are still kind of involved in your life. They're sort of satellite figures in your life, and they sort of duck in and out. And when they duck in, they pass on something valuable, such as their brand new show reel edited by Sam Wheeler.
You want to be a satellite figure.
Yeah.
In other people's lives.
Well, no, you want to start there and then,
become part of their inner circle.
Yeah, eventually, but like via like collaboration, via building that relationship and collaboration.
Yeah.
Wouldn't happen instantly.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Operation Befriend Dominic Hoey. It never really worked out.
No, it didn't.
Like,
didn't.
Hey, look, I bet I could message. I veered into the stalker weird area. Yeah. I was going to all his events. I was buying his book.
You were writing like messages on all his posts.
That's not true.
And you're like, hey, yeah, awesome, Dom. Yeah, fuck, cool, yeah. And he's like, oh, fuck this guy.
Oh, this fucking guy. Oh, fans.
Why does he just...
Fans,
just
bro.
leave it? Don't you know when to just leave it? Just leave well enough alone?
Fans, bro. No.
Ah, these fucking weird fans. Harley Neville.
Harley Neville. He's at the top of my list.
He's at the top of my list of weird fans.
Operation Befriend Dominic Hoey.
Didn't quite go off.
No, but to be honest, I feel like if I'd
if
I'd kept on performing poetry, I feel like things would be a little bit different. But basically what happened was, eventually I stopped performing poetry very often. And then it was like, well, cool, now I've got literally no reason to be attending these events.
I feel like you sent him a link to this podcast.
Oh, I probably did. I sent one to Louis Nux, his longtime friend and also co-star of the How Not to Be an Asshole podcast. And someone else who I'd met, through those same circles, and rest his soul, Louis Nux, and he listened to it, and it was the episode where you were rambling about The Muck, a movie called The Muck.
Fuck, that's a long time ago.
And that was the episode that he listened to, and he was like, yeah, I listened to it. There was one guy really upset about that movie, The Muck, and I was like, he was like, it was good, man. But not like, it was good. I'd love to collaborate. Get it over here. Jump in my inner circle. How would you like to jump in my inner circle? Get in here, you little hairy bugger.
I did a little bit of research on The Muck a while ago because when I was going through all these podcasts for our 200th anniversary edition, and so I was reminiscing and going through and making notes for that podcast.
Yeah.
That came up, and I was like, oh, fuck, that horrible, horrible film. Maybe one of the worst films I've ever seen of all time.
The Muck.
By a filmmaker who should not be making movies. Who and anyway, I was like, whatever fucking happened to that guy? And he thankfully did not make The Muck 2. Muckier. Did not make that, thank God.
Yeah.
Because I know that he was talking about doing crowdfunding to do that, and he didn't. but I feel like he may have directed something that is just about to come out. So we almost have to watch that as a form of self-flagellation.
Yeah.
Right? Because
flagellation.
Flagellation, thank you.
Yeah.
Self-flagellation.
Yeah.
Because, it's like, that podcast where they watch Sex and the City 2 over and over again. The worst idea of all time. You just have to do it. We've seen the muck. We both seen it. Or did you actually watch it?
I didn't watch it. No.
Yeah,
You
watched it.
ranted about it.
I watched it, and it was one of the worst things I've ever seen.
The episode.
And so now I have to see whatever the next thing he does to see, has he learned from his mistakes? Has he learned how to be a fucking filmmaker? Or is this just another cash grab?
Well, that was episode 12 of the Guy and Harley podcast. It's called Muck You, and Guy talks in it. And in it, he's mad as hell, and he's not going to take it anymore. And so he dissects one of the worst films he's ever seen, Muck. I also, apparently, according to this, got a testicle as a present, and we answer some listener topics. So go back and listen to episode 12 of the Guy and Harley podcast, Muck You, if you want to know what the hell we're talking about. To be honest, I haven't listened to it. It might be terrible, but who knows?
It can't be very good if it's number 12.
Why? Because it's right at the beginning and we didn't know what we were doing. And then this show has only gotten better as time has progressed.
Correct.
And now it is even better than it's ever been before.
Exactly. Every single episode gets better and better.
Yeah.
So we're, in fact, what episode was that?
12.
And what episode is this?
245. 245.
So we're approximately, 230 something times better?
33.
Yeah, we're 233 times better than when that came out. And if you don't
17.
believe us, you've got to go back and listen in order.
Yeah.
That's the only way to verify if what I'm saying is the truth.
That's good for us because it gets our watch time up on YouTube, and that's still important because we're still trying to monetize.
I'm telling you,
YouTube
40
channel.
tabs. No, people aren't doing it.
People aren't doing it.
People aren't doing this 40 tabs thing.
No.
Guys, come on. It's not that hard.
Now,
40 tabs.
Speaking of our listeners, one of our listeners,
mute them all, obviously.
Occasional listeners, Guy McDougall.
Yep.
He has been listening for a while, and I've met him a few times. Talented writer, and we have been reading scripts from various people, but also some scripts from Guy about potential horror scripts that we could potentially make as part of an anthology where we take our other horror films, No Caller ID, maybe Asylum, Stay at Home, and put them together with a couple of new short films, or maybe 3 or 4 or who knows how many other short films, and then tie them all together with an intertwining sort of narrative that sort of ties these stories together, and then presumably at the end of it ends with bloody murder everywhere. At the end of it. So this is kind of the project we're working on at the moment, and so we've been looking for these scripts, and we've received a few from a few different people, and so they're looking good. It's looking promising. We've got lots of exciting potential scripts on the horizon, things that can be shot around this house by us and sort of our gang.
Crew.
The crew. And
team, the A-team.
That's what we're working on. And so we've been reading scripts and looking at Guy McDowell's scripts. So shout out to Guy McDowell. And what else you got?
Well, I think now, what is the time?
6:48.
Getting hungry.
6:48 p.m. on a Friday. It's bedtime.
Yeah. So now, but I think it's about time to get into this. But to do this, I have to take off my hoodie to reveal. Now, can we cut to the other camera angle? This T-shirt.
You should have told me. I would have worn mine as well.
Because this will be a day long remembered. Because. And I sort of want to go into the story a little bit, but and we have talked a little bit about it in the past. But we made a feature film called I Survived a Zombie Holocaust. We talk about it quite frequently on this channel.
It was my big break.
And
that's why I'm the household name I am today.
And mine too. And it was not without its problems. Not so much the film itself, but the making of the film.
There's a great little making of documentary on our YouTube channel. Just go youtube.com/Pigville and the number 2, and you can see it's one of our main videos hosted on the channel, and it's called True Hollywood Stories, Pigville Productions. Go and check it out. There's a great wee documentary explaining some of the trials and tribulations associated with creating I Survived the Zombie Holocaust. But it really just scrapes the surface, really.
Yeah, if anything, that is very much an True Hollywood Story, and the fact that it doesn't really dig in to the trauma or disasters that, it's a very superficial surface level, like, we had some problems, but guess what? We're rallying and we're getting back together and we need your help.
Yeah, give us some money for our crowdfunding campaign.
Whereas, that is, that's just, the trauma runs deep. And the problems ran deep as well. And, you could make a whole book about it, really, or a making of documentary, which we may one day get around to doing if we could pay an editor to put together all the footage that we shot.
Sam Wheeler.
But it's such a huge undertaking because you've got all this, we've got lots of behind the scenes footage, although we don't specifically necessarily have behind the scenes footage of maybe what's even more, which is lots of things going wrong all the time. We've just got a little bit of that. But some of it is like the inner politics of making a film, is where things were going wrong, as opposed to like on set this thing did or didn't happen. Although that was also a problem, right? So there was, and it was, a first feature film, so you're going to run into these things, especially when, everyone's sort of to some degree inexperienced on this film. And, when you're inexperienced, you can't rely on, you need mentors. You need more mentors. And there wasn't that many mentors around, really. In fact, a couple of our mentors gave up. Some of our mentors were the problem.
They're like, listen, we can't work with this guy. We can't. But there's no mentoring this man. There's no mentoring him.
It wasn't so much there's no mentoring this man, but they were kind of like, this film has too many problems. And so I can't spend all my time dealing with all these problems of this film, like this post-production process. So here you go, guy. These are all your problems now. So, and it's like, you need to mentor me through these problems.
Yeah. I'm here with the problems, and you mentor me with the problems.
But now you're giving me the problems. So anyway, there was a lot of that. But, it's a film that I am fundamentally incredibly proud of to this day, and that I look at as, certainly one of the best things that I've ever made, but also one of the best experiences in life experiences. I don't want to say the best experience, that's not quite the same thing, but certainly one of the best life experiences I've ever had. And there was so many people involved in helping make it happen, so many good friends made out of that. And, I'm very proud of the film, and I encourage anyone that hasn't watched it, that listens to the podcast, to go out and check it out.
Yeah.
But if I had to say what was our biggest, mistake that we made in the process, or one of the biggest thing where, if I had one take back, what would it be? And for me, it would absolutely be the deal that we made with our sales agent. And the deal that we made with our sales agent was made in sort of ignorance. It was made by people who'd never sold a feature film before, selling to a bunch of people who not only had sold and bought many feature films, but also understood how to exploit those conditions to benefit themselves in the most, in the best possible way.
The funny thing about it was that we went over to LA and we talked to people. You had a bunch of meetings with producers and stuff like that, and we did talk to a bunch of different people, and we were aware that it was a journey fraught with danger. and that there was all of these things that could happen to us, and we'd heard. It wasn't like we walked in and we're like, la-di-da, it's not possible for us to end up in a shitty deal. It was
That's
like,
true.
no, yeah, we're aware that shitty deals exist, and we are doing our goddamn best to avoid all of that, and that won't happen to us.
Because we're doing our due diligence.
Because we're doing it just right. We're doing it how it should be.
We're doing our homework. We're trying to, we're taking our time with the choice that we're making with who we're going to go with. We're weighing up all the options. We're waiting until we have as many options as possible. We're doing everything, quote unquote, right. Now, that goes back to the mentor thing as well, which is we didn't have any mentors looking at these deals really, who could spot the sort of, I guess, the crocodiles lurking.
The snakes slithering in the grass, spineless.
There you go. And so, although we thought and we did as much as we could, we were still being taken advantage of with this deal that we made. And not by a little bit. Like, not by like, hey, we're going to take a few liberties. It was more like, hey, we are going to take you for everything you're worth. And we have put in a series of clauses that are going to do that. We put in a series of clauses that are going to maximize our return and minimize your own. In fact, we're going to make it to the point that it's going to be very difficult for you to get anything out of this deal. And we know that already. We know all that already as we agree to this. But you don't know that. And obviously we're not going to tell you because that wouldn't benefit us. But this film will benefit us and will make us a lot of money. It just won't do anything for you if you take this deal and you agree to these conditions. And because we didn't have any sort of mentors, and because the mentors that we did have didn't know what the fuck they were on about, as in some of the people that did look over this contract, which should have known better, just clearly did not, we signed away these rights. And essentially, we have been looking every year at a loss statement, really. We've been looking every year at the film making money for someone else, but very little for us, little to none. And we've had, I think, 2 payouts from the film.
I've only had 1.
And no, I'm pretty sure you've had 2.
No, I got 1, and it was for, I remember it was approximately $420, and I was like, all right. But I expected a little bit more. Yeah,
so those weren't from this deal. So those were from a completely separate deal to a German distributor. So the only real money that we've ever made from this film was from a individual sale we made without the help of the sales agent. So literally the thing they're meant to do, which is sell the film and get us money, they haven't done, while we ourselves found this deal independently and made money separate to that. So we had to leave that section, that deal, like off the table in terms of the rights that this big sales agent got. And so I remember very vividly when the first big deal came in for the zombie film. And I looked at what we got from that deal versus what our sales agent got from that deal. And my heart just absolutely sunk. I was like, wait a second. So they take all of that, and we just get this. And not only do we only get this tiny, not even worth anything amount, but we're not, and the next time there's any big payment, the same thing is going to happen over and over and over again. What the hell is going on? And, I just remember how I was in a point of total despair because it's like I've made this film, I've sunk my entire life into this film, into every ounce of my being went into that film, everything I could possibly do. I would wake up every day and tell myself one thing, which is do it the best you possibly can and do whatever you can to do that. Whatever's in your power. I don't have an unlimited budget. We're putting our own money into pickups and things like that. We are, producing extra bits because, but it's like, put everything that I can. At least let me finish this film and know that I did everything that I could to make it as good as it could be within my power. And I took that as seriously as I possibly could. And so then to see these statements come through and just watch powerless as this money just was absorbed into this giant entity and gave nothing back to all the hardworking people that contributed to it, gave nothing back to us to make more films, which is the whole fucking point. It's like, I don't want to get rich from making my movies. I mean, that'd be cool, but
that'd be cool.
I want to get making movies from making movies. I want my movies to help support the next movie. So I keep making movies. That's the whole fucking point. It's not to become a millionaire necessarily, it's allowing us this opportunity. And so every time I saw these statements, it was like looking at my opportunity diminish, looking at my opportunity being taken away from me. But it wasn't taken away because there wasn't money being made. It was taken away because of this incredibly exploitative, predatory deal that was made. And people taking advantage of the fact that they knew how to exploit us, and we did not know how to not be exploited. And so
it's so stupid in terms of like the long-term effects on the industry that you're trying to make a living out of, right? You're like, okay, cool. So our strategy is just to fuck all of the people who are making movies,
but particularly,
and we'll just take all the money.
Particularly small movies.
And then once we get that money, they won't be keen to make movies anymore. But that's not our problem.
Because we've got the money.
Well, guess what? It is your problem. Because you're killing the industry.
And essentially,
that feeds you.
Why
not share the wealth, you greedy bastards?
Well, that's what the sales judge, which was essentially picking the bones of independent filmmakers to support their other films, which they probably did not treat like this. So essentially, they used this pool of naive, ignorant or new to the business filmmakers. They use that and they utilize these contracts to take this pool of money to then fund their bigger projects where they can't get away with that, where lawyers would step in, where people were savvy and they go, no, I see you trying to fuck me here. You can't put that in the contract. Take it out immediately. And they go, yes, Mr. Nicolas Cage, of course we'll do that. But essentially, and I then, as my heart sank and I saw all this going on, I started speaking with other filmmakers who were with this sales agent. And lo and behold, they were sharing very similar stories. And I don't want to just put it down to just the sales agent, because actually, lo and behold, this was the common practice amongst many, many sales agents and distributors. And you're right that the biggest problem it creates is that it fucks the industry, because you kill these people as they're just starting out, and so they can't continue on. And so I would be reminded of this constantly, but I was also reminded of it in the way that they interacted with us, with the sort of, they sort of exploited this very cheap loophole to extend the contract an additional 2.5 years. So it was like, not only are we going to fuck you, not only are we going to take everything that you might have hoped to make for this film, but we want to make sure that you have no other opportunity to make anything from it. We're going to keep doing it. Even when you realize we both know what's going on, we're not going to go, haha, we got you, but hey, learn from that next time and we'll see you later. It's like, haha, we got you, we fucked you, and we're going to fuck you again. And we're just going to keep on fucking you.
Would you like to be fucked again?
Because this little amount of money means more to us than conducting ourselves in a way that would be
professional, respectful manner.
Mutually beneficial way. And so, we sort of looked at sort of various ways to try and extricate ourselves from this. We had an entertainment lawyer have a look at the contract.
I remember that costing money.
Yeah, which cost us like $600 or $700, basically for him to tell us exactly what we already knew.
Yeah.
And for him to say, it's a tough one.
Yeah.
We don't really know. Yeah, it's not very, look, he basically looked at the contract and goes, look, this is a terrible contract. Here's the problems. And I go, yes, thank you. That's what I said to you when I gave you the contract.
Yeah.
Now, can you please tell me if we can...
How to fix it.
Yeah, and he was like, well, the thing is, we don't really know because it could go this way, it could go that way, but it's probably not worth doing anything because you don't have the money. And that's another thing that these massive sales agents and distributors rely on. They rely on the fact that the filmmakers... who they rip off, even if they know they're being ripped off and discover they're being ripped off, can't do anything because they're too poor by the virtue of the fact that they've been ripped off to either get into any type of litigation because then it's like, well, look, I can't go to war with these people because this is a giant company with resources and money and lawyers and contracts that are these sort of exploitative contracts that are essentially absolving themselves of any of the blame so that should you get to the point of litigation, that they're protecting themselves. And so all of this has been swirling around in my mind for 7.5 years, or swirling around in our minds for 7.5 years, because this is our first feature film. This is a film that we, blood, sweat, and tears, sacrificed everything for.
This was the one. This was the one that was, this was the dream maker. This was it. It was like, wow. This is our big break. Finally, we got everything we'd asked for. And we'd already been making movies for many, many years when we started that film. So it was like, this is it. This is what it was all for.
We all did
We've
it
been
for
struggling
this,
for all of these years.
For this point, for this
everything
moment.
We worked on for free. All of those things we did, all those favors we asked, it was all for this moment. And then we finally made the film, and it was actually a good film. It's not like we failed at making a good film. We made a good film.
And that's the thing. It's okay to make a film that doesn't work out and cut your losses. It's not okay to make a good film that gets into all the best horror festivals, gets all this interest from sales agent into the thing, and then essentially have all that momentum, all that opportunity just cut out from under you because of one of these horrifically exploitative, extortionate contracts.
Also, if it was kind of a deal where it worked out that we got a comfortable amount of money, the filmmakers got a comfortable amount of money, and so did they, well, then obviously we're going to be super motivated to continue promoting that for years and years, and basically for the rest of our lives. If we're making money every time you watch it, then obviously we're going to promote people watching it. But what they did was they took away our motivation to even share it. It's like, oh, okay, cool, well, we might as well share this, but we're getting so little money from this that who gives a shit if our listeners watch it, if all 8 of our listeners watch it.
And also, it shouldn't be sort of skipped out that not only did we sort of do all this work and prep to get it ready and get into all these festivals and all that sort of stuff, we actually did a really, really successful social media marketing campaign. Really, really successful. You had set up all these different posts going on. We had created a teaser trailer that had got over 1 million views. We generated like heaps of interest and goodwill in the film. And we'd also had more opportunities from other festivals approaching us saying we'd like to screen it. And those opportunities got cut out from under us as well because they're like, oh, the sales agent wants X amount of money for us to screen it here, and we don't pay any of the films. To do that, so we can't feature your film. And it's like, oh, well, fucking great. So that was another free publicity opportunity in this country that we now don't have because you guys want to keep just digging and digging. And by the way, that money's not going back to us, the filmmakers. That money's going back to our sales agent. So all of it was this like really soul-destroying thing that certainly for me actually took, I would say, like a little, like a piece of my innocence, a piece of my belief in society and how it works, and maybe I needed that to be removed, the belief that people are generally good. That's the other thing. We're New Zealanders. We're Kiwis. Kiwis are pretty upfront. Kiwis are pretty straightforward. Right?
We call it straightforward. Other people would call it naive.
But exactly. But essentially, it comes down to if you say you're going to do something, we generally do it.
Yeah, and we expect you to do it if you say that you'll do something. It's this weird thing we have in New Zealand.
Yeah, it's this weird custom.
It's this weird honesty thing. It's really strange. But we actually do it mostly.
And the truth is that in business, particularly in the US, That's not necessarily.
Oh yeah, buddy. No worries. We'll do that.
Well, we got
All
you.
right. Yeah,
we
got you,
guy.
buddy. Hey, you're
Yeah,
my
no
best
worries.
friend, little buddy.
Okay.
You're my best friend, little
yeah,
buddy.
yeah.
Hey, no problem. I got your back. You and me for life, homie.
So all of this stuff, it definitely kind of shattered a dream for us. And it definitely diminished our opportunities. You and I, had to rebuild ourselves with $0 with negative dollars in our bank account to sort of start making more stuff again, which was really, really difficult. And all of that could have been, sort of minimized had this deal simply been mutually beneficial, simply been fair.
Mutually beneficial. That's all we want.
Simply being sort of, you deserve the money, some of the money you earn from your intellectual property that you created over 5 years. That's all that had to happen, and it didn't. But not only that, the reports that we got from them were always lacking any kind of detail, any kind of information.
Extremely vague.
And, there was just lots of, or sometimes they forget to send one through for a year. Oh, whoops-a-daisy. Sorry, we didn't, those reports. I mean, why would you care? You're not making any money. We're all making all the money. You don't want to see that, do you?
Yeah.
You don't want to see us making all the money, do you?
You don't want to see that.
You don't want to be reminded of that. We just won't send you the reports for this couple of quarters. I hope that's all right. And honestly, for me personally, it was almost like I had to go into like hibernation, long dark tea time of the soul. But like as in the caring about that each time I had to care less. I had to stop because when I would see that, it would just kind of, everything would come flooding back in and I'd be like, oh my God, I did all that for that. And this is what's happening with this. I can't fucking deal with this mentally. I cannot deal with this. So I had to kind of switch it off in this sort of some of these interim years, these 7.5 interim years since the time we gave this film away to these people. And finally, after several...
And this is the point of this long-winded ramble.
Oh, I don't think it's a ramble. I think it's very important. And in fact, I might clip out this section. But we get to this point where past all the loopholes, past all the sort of bullshit, past all the extensions that shouldn't have been extensions and all that sort of thing, I finally got to the point where I could serve these papers, where I could say, we now have had a fucking enough. We've had a fucking gutsful, all right? We really fucking have. And now there's no more loopholes. You're out of fucking loopholes. You're out of bullshit. You're out of these contractual stipulations that mean that absolve you of any responsibilities, but let you keep everything that you make and not share it with us. All of that is now done. It only took 7.5 years, but we would like our fucking film back, please. We would like that fucking thing that we made and we put everything into, and we would like it fucking back right now. And so after that conversation, lo and behold, for the first time ever in 7.5 years, I get a message from the CEO of said sales agency saying, oh, yeah, well, let's set up a meeting, eh? Let's talk. Let's see what we can do. Let's see what we can do, which is code for, we still don't want to give you back this thing that you're now legally entitled to. And we want to still keep extorting you and making money off you and your work and the hard work of all the people that were involved. And we want to figure out a way that we can prolong this sort of deception in a different context, in a slightly different context, And so I had that meeting this morning, and I was really I try not to get too upset about things. I try not to get too worked up about things in my day-to-day life. I try and be like water, as Bruce Lee says, right? Pissing myself frequently. I don't know, just but
joke?
Didn't really. Dad joke number one.
It's dad joke number one. Well, dad joke number two, technically.
Trickling. No, so I try not to get worked up about these things, but because this meeting had been scheduled, I have been really anxious about it because it's almost, you know, you want to talk about exploitation, you want to talk about being taken advantage of. It's like being confronted by someone that has, you know, at least financially and sort of and emotionally kind of abused you. And so it's like confronting that abuser. You're looking that person direct in the eye.
It's the same thing, Guy. It's the same thing.
Not exactly the same, but it is. Someone has done something to you and taken something from you that they kind of don't acknowledge. That to them, that's nothing. That was Tuesday. For me, it's 7.5 years. But for them, that was a Tuesday. They did that on all the other days of the week too. They've lost count of all the independent filmmakers that they've fucked over. But for them today, it come round to my turn, and it's like, oh, who's on the? Oh, guys, how come we didn't get this loophole sorted out? Who was on this? Who did? Who? Oh, now I've got to have a meeting with this dumb motherfucker.
Yeah.
So we did. And I'd been running through my head all the things that I wanted to say to this guy, because this is 7.5 years, and this is, like you said, it's not affecting just like yours and our life, this instance is, but it is affecting the film industry. It is ruining the opportunities for independent filmmakers to take that next step up. It's cannibalizing the industry. And I had all these thoughts in my mind. I couldn't sleep. I was sort of very anxious, and I didn't know what to do. Like, should I just flip the fuck out on this guy? You know? Should I just lose my shit on him? Like, just, nah, don't fuck with me, motherfucker. This is all the shit you've done. Do not fuck with me anymore. I do not want you to tell me any fucking stories anymore. Just admit, just cop to this bullshit. Just fucking straight up cop to it, right? Or be very diplomatic. Okay, well, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate all the work you've put in. We really do, but we're going to go a different way now. We're going to go a way of earning money now. That's the way we want to go with this film. We'd like to earn some money from it. And I was really conflicted about what I should do and how I should approach it, and what was the right thing to do as well. And ultimately, when I had this meeting, which, you know, I didn't really sleep the night before, I sort of wrote down a list of grievances of all the things that I thought they'd done wrong. And I didn't talk about all of those things, but I certainly raised several of them. And it felt really fucking good to look this man in the eye and go, no, dude, I do not accept your story. I do not accept that you've done a good job for this film. I do not accept these things that you're telling me. I reject them, and I raise you this bullshit. And now you're the fucker on the back foot for once, because you never are, because all you're doing is talking to people like me 10 years ago who look up to you and think you're the fucking man and think you are the best thing since sliced bread. Think, I want to get to where you are, right? That's who you're used to talking to. You very rarely talk to people like me that kind of see how the sausage is made.
Bitter, twisted individuals with years seasoned of hate seasoned with years of bitterness. It's not often you have to speak to those people.
I'm seasoned now, you son of a bitch. And so I kept it diplomatic, but I did sort of talk about a lot of these things that I thought were wrong. And I thought the funniest thing about the whole fucking conversation, apart from the fact that, you know, obviously he was trying to absolve himself of any of the shittiness of this deal and what he was like and what he was doing, not just to me, but to anyone else. But that then he wanted to make a new deal. And this always cracks me up because it's like, in your world, this film is in the negatives. Going by your contract, this contract that you say is so good.
Yeah, it's made no money.
Not only is this film
made no money,
this film has lost you thousands and thousands of dollars.
According to your paperwork.
According to your paperwork.
Why would you want to continue the deal?
So why the fuck would you want to keep losing thousands of dollars on this film if that were true?
Yeah.
It just makes absolute no logical sense because, of course, the reality is
It's making
it's
money.
making lots of money.
And they're charging us for all the expenses associated with
Yeah.
it. And technically on paper, it's not making money, but they're making money.
And so we got to that point, and then that new deal that he offered me was essentially a sort of a split. But the split
Was worse.
was not it was worse than any sales agent is meant to provide.
Yeah.
Right. So it was comical to me that it's like, hey, look, we fucked you for 7.5 years, but hey, new slate. You don't owe that money anymore. Of course, and we're willing to split this with you.
Yeah.
Straight down the middle. And it's like, well, hang on. That's not what a sales agent or distributor takes. They don't go straight down the middle.
No.
That would imply that you've done as much work as us.
Yeah.
But actually, you're just selling the film for us.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, you work for us.
Yeah.
So you would take a commission on top of that, like
Yeah.
an agent takes an actor's fee. They don't split that down the middle.
No.
That ain't 50-50.
Yeah.
Right? And so what was hilarious to me was that in spite of all the stuff that I just brought up with him, which he sort of couldn't really, he was really backpedaling on how he could justify. He was struggling. He was really struggling. But then to come with another fucky deal, come with more bullshit, come with more exploitation. Like, man, if you thought that I was dumb, you just doubled down on how dumb you think I am. You really doubled down on that with this new thing. And, it's like, no, I don't want to take some time to think about it. I can tell you right now, and I could have told you this. We didn't need to have this meeting for me to tell you I'm not interested in whatever the fuck you say. And you should know that if you thought that I had one shred of intelligence, which you don't, and maybe you were right 7.5 years ago. But so we ended those conversations, and we will be getting the film back. Thank fuck. Although it will still take some time to extricate us from all these kind of deals that they've then sold on that have already been done. But it is good to have some final clarity over when at least some of those end, and all that sort of thing. And I also thought, and when we sort of signed off, and I said, well, thanks for your time. I look forward to having all that information about this final sort of dissolving of this partnership in the mail. So, yeah, I appreciate that. But I guess what brought me the greatest amount of joy is that there was people in the room with him for the entire conversation. And I don't know what those people thought about that conversation or whether they even cared. But I just really enjoyed the fact that they got to hear the perspective of one of the guys that he's directly fucking. Because once again, that's not something that they're going to day to day get. This man that has been wronged for 7.5 years. They're not going to get their perspective. They're going to get his perspective. And when he drives off in his nice fucking car and parks up outside his...
Drives off in his Tesla.
Yeah. They're going to get his perspective. No, we're helping the industry, guys. We're helping these young filmmakers. We're giving them exposure.
Yeah.
We're elevating them. That now people know about this film, I Survived. That's because of us, guys.
I survived the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah. And we deserve all the money. We deserve that money. We've helped them. Where would they be? But it was also very comedic to me that he himself had become very out of touch. He was trying to switch to a distribution model, which is similar to the one that we have with our new sales agent, out of desperation, of course, because of the way the film industry is going, and the way that distribution is going. So he's trying to switch to that. But what I take quite a lot of pleasure in is that that's going to be really difficult because of the reputation that he's built for himself. But he also can't keep doing this because there's many other places that offer better, more appropriate deals of that same business model. So you can't keep extorting people and fucking people over. And I certainly hope that that company gets to the point where they are no longer solvent because of the change of the guard, shall we say. And what I'm very thankful for today is that in those 7.5 years, we did get provided all this information by the likes of Indie Film Hustle and Alex Ferrari, who does a podcast where he talks a lot about this. And the Filmmakers podcast is another good one. And of course, our own podcast, Harley, where we share war stories and help you become better filmmakers, should you be interested.
Alex Ferrari didn't reply to my message about a coffee. When I was in LA, I was at AFM.
He's a busy man.
He was at AFM.
He's too busy.
But I had a personal recommendation from a mutual friend.
He's too...
Demi, from Demi Nikov. And we had a mutual friend. And he said, hey, this guy's going to message you and, let's get in touch. And then he did not reply to my message.
So he...
To be fair, I checked the other day, which was 3 years later.
Yeah.
And it was unseen.
Unseen.
So he did not... He didn't ignore me per se. He just didn't
he ignored a notification on his phone.
Yeah, that he had a message, and he was like, from somebody I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And it says he's waiting for it says awaiting response for my friend request. It was 3 years ago, Alex. It was 3 years ago. Well, you don't check your friend requests every now and then.
Well, like I said, he's too busy speaking with such visionary directors as Oliver Stone and Guy Pigden. Guests on his podcast, back to back there.
Yeah.
So when Oliver Stone, then Guy
Oliver
Pigden.
Stone was you, yeah. Well, I tried, mate. I tried in 2019. I was trying to get in there.
So yeah, I just thought that was an interesting story, and it's a story of I felt very anxious and upset all the way leading up into that, and it was ultimately very cathartic. And even now, I feel like, look, man, we're still not going to be making money for this film for quite a good while by the look of it. But it's just so nice to know that we're not being exploited anymore. And that it's not, everything that, like, and I think this is an important thing to think is, like, what's better, man? What's better for you to make $5 on your film and it's $5 in your account, or for someone else to make 50,000 and there's not a cent in your account? I prefer the $5 in mine, personally.
Me too, but on a similar token, would you prefer 50,000 people to see your film and you make no money, or 100 people to see your film and you make $5? As an artist, as a creator, for me personally, I would rather 50,000 people see a piece of art that I made because $5 is not worth it. So, like, it's like, okay, well, that has value in itself. The people seeing it is important. So. But
in saying that, give
me the $5.
Well, it's a good devil's advocate perspective.
Yeah.
But in saying that, many more than 50,000 people saw I Survived the Zombie Holocaust. No one called us up and wanted to make I Survived the Zombie Holocaust too.
Not yet, mate. But when they see this episode of the Guy and Harley podcast, then they'll be banging down the door.
We got out of the Church of Scientology and we are now free and clear.
There you go. Richard Lambeth says, long, dark tea time of the soul t-shirts, please. So we could do that.
Yep.
And he also says that, fuck that guy. K1W1 says, fuck that dude. Nice one. Guy, I'm glad that you're out of the deal. And Richard thinks it's also a good story. And that's all true stuff. So yeah, that is good.
It all unfolded right here.
So we'll let you know if hopefully we'll get lucky and we'll actually make a little bit of money in the future from I Survived the Zombie Holocaust with our new sales agent. And we'll become the household names that we always thought we would become.
Well, I think that's maybe a good opportunity to wrap things up.
Okay, sounds good to me. We'll wrap it up. Thank you for watching. All the links to support us are in the description down below. And we are back every Sunday. I know that today is Friday. We won't be here this Sunday.
And we have not been for the past several weeks.
No, a couple of weeks. But next Sunday, I assume we'll be back. Yeah. So not this Sunday, but next Sunday, we'll be back with the Guy and Harley podcast. If you want to support us, all the ways you can are in the links down below. We do very much appreciate that. I also wanted to shout out Connor McGinty one more time, who was the sponsor of last week's episode, but I realized that I only really gave him one shout out at the beginning, and that was really it. And it's not very compelling for people out there that want to give us some money to buy the beers on the show. There's a link in the description. It says buy us a beer, and from there you can make a one-off donation, to cover the beers on the show. Connor did that. He became the sponsor of the show. I shouted him out at the beginning. I did not shout him out at the end. So thank you very much to Connor McGinty for supporting us and being the official sponsor of last week's episode. We do very, very much appreciate that. And all of you guys can do a similar thing and help us, and that will help us cover our expenses going all the way to Amsterdam to hopefully accept one of us accepting the award of Best Oceanian Actor at this film festival, which we'll announce next week because it comes out in a couple of days. They're announcing it publicly in a couple of days.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for listening to our stories and supporting us on our journey, unlike said sales agent. And we look forward to making more content and doing this podcast next week. I better press it.
I was going to. I was just waving first.